It's been something of a rocky year for Tesla stockholders. It traded up to 900 all-time highs in January of this year. But since then, we've seen the price sell off quite sharply, although it has stabilized over recent months. So what next for the Tesla share price? Will we see those all-time highs challenged again? I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at Tesla. Clearly, it's been a great performer over recent years. If we go back to the lows of March 2020, the stock was trading below $100 on an adjusted basis and then traded as high as 900 in January of this year. We've seen something of a shakeout, I suppose, from January into March, but we have seen the stock price stabilize in a sort of ahead of the $500 level and something of a recovery going on since May. So I thought let's take a look at some of the recent news in a bit more detail. Their recent earnings, which I think were much better than expected, and come back and take a look at the technicals and the charts and see where the opportunity might be. Hello, I'm David Jones from Capital.com, and I thought we'd do an update on Tesla. It's a popular stock, gets lots of press. Elon Musk, of course, is one of the founders of Tesla and always a popular name in the press. So I thought, let's take a look at it in a bit more detail after what has been a volatile year. So as usual, we'll talk a bit about some of the recent news, their earnings, beat expectations, talk about that, look at the levels to watch, then we'll jump back onto the platform, take a look at the technicals in a bit more detail and see what the future might hold for the stock from here. As usual, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed, if you could click on subscribe, it does help support the channel and it means we can continue to push out lots of different content on the various stocks we watch throughout the week. Right, that's it. Let's get into Tesla in a bit more detail. So just in case you're not sure what Tesla do, they are, of course, an electric vehicle and clean energy company. Arguably pioneered the popularity of electric vehicles in recent years. And we can see that from the numbers. In 2020, the company sold something like 500,000 vehicles, almost. The Tesla Model 3, their sort of more budget version of their electric vehicles, was the best-selling electric car around the world. We've had their quarterly earnings. Second quarter earnings came out in July, and these smashed expectations. The market was expecting about 98 cents per share in terms of earnings. It came in at $1.45. So what's that? Well, 45% higher, 46% higher than what the market was expecting. And the company passed something of a milestone, exceeding $1 billion in net income for the quarter for the first time. But Tesla isn't immune from some of the challenges that we're seeing affecting the wider car industry at the moment. You may be aware there is a global chip shortage. Clearly, so much technology goes into cars these days. It has affected manufacturers around the world. Tesla is no exception, and it's pushed back it's the program for its electric lorries until next year, until 2022. It's also the subject of an investigation. The US has opened up an investigation into Tesla's self-driving software after 11 separate accidents involving, I think, 1 fatality and a number of injuries. So it's looking into this in a bit more detail. We did see the share price slightly hit by that, but I think no major repercussions so far. Plus, of course, there is ever increasing competition in the electric vehicle space as the more mainstream manufacturers continue to gear up and produce more models. Although arguably Tesla still have the edge in terms of their brand recognition, the brand strength, and also their infrastructure of various superchargers dotted around the world, making it easier, arguably, to charge a Tesla when you're out and about than it is with some of the other cars. So back to the stock price. At the time of recording, it's little changed on the year so far, although it is 20% off the all-time high set around $900 for the stock in January. So we'll take a look at, well, is this fall something of a bargain if we want to have a look at buying Tesla, or is there more weakness to come? Let's talk about the levels to watch first. So I think the most immediate hurdles come from this month. We've got a high put in at $730. We've got a low put in at $649. Various support resistance levels a bit wider than that. So as usual, to put some color on these numbers, let's jump onto the charts and take a look at the technicals and the charts for Tesla in a bit more detail. So let's take a look at the Tesla technicals in a bit more detail. Let's start things off with the moving average. I've got a 50-day moving average on here, so a longer term average perhaps than usual, but 50 days I think is always an interesting one. It's a couple of months in terms of the price history. And of course, moving averages, we get a buy signal like down here, April 2020, when the price moves above the moving average, then a sell signal if the price falls below the moving average. When markets go sideways, we have choppiness with the moving average, with the price flip-flopping over and giving us pretty poor signals. But I thought what was interesting is what we've seen over the last 7 weeks or so, that we had the buy signal with the price moving above the moving average in late June of this year, moving through about $640 for the stock. And interestingly, even though the stock has sold off a bit on the way up, we have seen that moving average almost acting like a floating support line. So at the moment, the 50-day moving average is sitting around about $670. So it'd be interesting if we saw the stock under a bit of pressure from here as to whether that moving average again holds the price up. Looking at the RSI, I don't think we're getting too much from the RSI at the moment. It sort of nudged near overbought in early August as the price of the stock moved up to $725. And we have seen the price a little bit softer since then. At the time of recording, that moving average is sitting pretty much in the middle, around 55% at the moment. So we're not getting too much from the RSI, sorry, not the moving average. So not too much from there at the moment. If we saw the price under some pressure, perhaps we'd see the RSI go oversold. It hasn't been oversold since back here in May when the stock was down at 560. So for me, the price action is what's important. Let's take a look at that. I thought it would be interesting just to pick up on the trend, the historical trend from the March 2020 lows. And this did a great job of holding the price up. We'd see the price move back to the trend line, the buyers would come back in, and the trend would continue until here, until May of this year. And we saw the price drift below the trend line, but we haven't seen a major sell-off since then. So whilst I don't think that trend is too relevant anymore, I think we do arguably have something of a newer trend for Tesla. So let's zoom into the last 6 months or so. So from a support point of view, I think for the big support for Tesla, these lows hit in March, down around 540 for the stock. We can see the price came down to test it again, trading down to 543 in May. And since then has been trying to build a recovery. So we do have this shorter term trend that's been chugging along for the last 3 months or so. I suppose if we were looking for an objective for this trend, it would be in the medium term, short to medium term, a run back up to the April highs around 782. So about 10% higher than where we are now. So for me at the moment, the trend line looks something like that. Off the May lows, we saw a move down to the trend line with the stock slipping to 650, 648 middle of August. We've seen that hold so far. So for me, that trend is still going. We've got higher highs and higher lows. So we've got short-term support on that 648 level. Stronger support in the short term, these lows in July around 620. So it is mildly positive for now. I think it may well be some time before we see, if we do see those all-time highs tested. But the trend for the last 3 months is still chugging higher. I'd be looking, as I say, for a move up if this trend is going to continue, make higher highs, higher lows, up towards 782. Those April highs. I think it's only if it starts to slip below the July lows at 620. Do we have to worry about a deeper sell-off, perhaps back to the 550 area? So mildly positive for now, nowhere near as volatile as it has been in the past, but that trend off those May lows is still going. That's it for the update in Tesla. We'll see if this recovery can continue. We'll come back to it in the months ahead and do an update. But for now, from me, David Jones and Capital.com, we'll leave things there. Good luck with your investing. For more trading videos just like this, please subscribe to our channel.